We're going to go ahead and take a look now how we apply this expected value for of a distribution, discrete random variable. So we looked at formula already, so let's take a look at an example here. So in this example, we have that's connected to a video game scenario, right? Where you get a certain amount of points, a certain percent of the time, right? 10 points with a 30% probability and so forth. And we want to find those values associated with these distributions, the expected value, the variance, standard deviation, right? And interpret what that means, which we'll talk about. And so first we want to make sure we have the distribution identified. Here x is the random variable, how many points you can get, and then the probability of getting those points. And so the expected value, you can see the formula here is x times p of x, the sum of that. And so you can see the calculations. And we would do that by hand. Not a lot of calculators do this for us. StatCrunch would, but other calculators may not do that. Some of our technology calculators, but StatCrunch would do that calculation for us if you input your x and p values into a table and then use their custom calculator. But you get a value of 19. So considering the different ways you can get points, the expected value, right, of points is 19 within these probabilities for those points. Or again, that's the average point value, right, for against an enemy when you inflict damage against an enemy. And then the variance, which we have that formula for here, which looks very complicated, but hopefully you can see. We won't do many long calculations of this. You can see where the values come from. The p of x is in red here. And you can see we're subtracting the difference of x and then the expected value or the mean. Again, looking at this here, the expected value or the mean. Sum that up, and then you get 49. That's the variance. And then the standard deviation, you recall from previous lessons, is the square root of the variance. And so since the variance is 49, the standard deviation is 7. And again, back to an interpretation of standard deviation. In this context, that's 7 points. I should put units on this. We should have learned already by now that we need units when we're describing our numbers, right? So these are all points. Sorry about that. These are all points. Well, the mean is points and the standard deviation is points. 7 points. So again, on average, we have 7 points, right? Vary from the average in terms of our average points we get when we inflict damage, right? Vary from 7 points. And it's kind of hard to see in this situation because we only have 3 outcomes, but we would then use that, again, the standard deviation to answer questions regarding the situation as we've done in the past. Here are the tips for that again for StatCrunch. You would enter this data in, and then you would do a custom calculator, and it will give you the mean, the expected value, and the standard deviation. Looking at example 5, again, another scenario here. Let's say this is related to lotteries or raffle tickets or gambling, right? The idea of what can you expect to win, right, within a good given scenario. And so we have how many tickets you would win in this fundraiser and the probability of winning those tickets. And so again, when you play this or when you spin the wheel, we expect 4.8 tickets per win. Again, that's an average. You're not going to win 4.8 tickets, but in general, that's kind of the expected value or the mean value related to this distribution. The standard deviation, again, using technology, and that's where I got those numbers from. And I want to show you once how to do that. So here's StatCrunch, and so I've entered those numbers in from that from our notes here, and then we would, once it's in x and p of x, you just go to Stat Calculators, Custom, and then the values are in x, the weights are your probabilities in p of x, and compute, and that's it, and you get your answers there. You get your mean and your standard deviation. So that's what you would do for this situation here. And again, the standard should be 2.73. So we would expect, right, 4.8 tickets per per spin of the wheel.